Super League returns for round number 8, and so too does the best pre-round build-up show for the Betfred Super League. On tonight's show, in Cartwright we trust, say the fans, but the board disagree. The Saints will show no mercy, so what will the fallout be on the field tonight? Then on Friday, the high-flying Robins head over the channel in an attempt to keep their climb up the table on track. Olympique have many injuries. Could they eclipse York's shock win from round 1? At the AQ Stadium, it's a local Yorkshire derby that is sure to thrill. Old hero Jake Connor returns to face an in-form Adam Clune and co. Could the Giants add another major scalp? Your Knights welcome Lee Leopards with both sides missing key personnel and having seen their Challenge Cup aspirations squashed at the weekend. Both Applegarth and Lamb will be praying for a win to get their seasons back on track. On Saturday, Wakefield Trinity have Bradford Bulls on the menu. The Bulls may have a rare chance of getting the 2 points against the strong Trinity side, but there's no doubt that some garlic butter may be required to give this fillet steak some flavour at full time if it's well done. Then it's off to the south of France as the top of the table Warrington Wolves will be looking to add further disruption to the Catalan Dragons season. But beware, this is where it all started to unravel for the Wire in 2023. And then bringing the round to a close will be the Warriors against the Tigers. History suggests a home win and a comfortable one at that. But dare we say the words Huddersfield Giants out loud? In-depth analysis, passionate debate and round number 8 predictions. It's now time for the Captain's Run. It is indeed time for the Captain's Run, and I'm absolutely overjoyed to say on debut with me this evening is Carla Collier, Heritage number 60. How are we, Carla?
I'm all right, Dave. How are you?
Absolutely over the moon to have you joining. Of course, a esteemed member of Super League Royal Ladies Tackle Talk. Going well, the podcast?
It is. It's going well. Everybody's having a lot of fun with it. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Absolutely. And you're almost me on that with the puns.
Oh, yeah. My brain's a wild place to be sometimes. They just fly out. I don't actually know what I say half the time, so...
Absolutely. For those who want to put a voice to a face, this is the same Carla who said that, I can't remember which team it was or which player it was, but had as much discipline as you 3 days into a diet, which I thought was comedy gold this week. That's
Mr. Hughes.
Is that what Jack Hughes, yeah, quite befitting. But yeah, Carla's joining me this evening. We're going to take you right the way up to, of course, the production that's on Sky this evening as Hull FC take on Saints. We'll discuss that match in more detail later in the show. But let's just deep dive straight into this because it's been announced today that Andrew Abdo and Rodri Jones will be on tonight's broadcast to discuss the potential of the NRL getting involved in Super League. I don't know about you, Carla, but for those people who weren't thinking of watching this game, perhaps now they'll be tuning in because I think all of Super League wants to know what's going on here.
Definitely. It is it's a good way to start the weekend of rugby, isn't it? I know a lot of people have got questions about this. Me, certainly so. From a smaller club perspective, NRL involvement is a bit of a scary time and a scary thought. So definitely be interested to see if there's a bit more clarity on what the NRL are wanting in return for investment to Super League, because I'm not having nobody invests for nothing.
Well, absolutely. It's going to be, like I say, I think we all want the detail. We've heard many numbers being floated about in terms of what that investment looks like in terms of pounds, shillings and pence, but also the structure, long term, what are the guarantees, etc. Be interesting to see how much is discussed tonight on the show, on the live broadcast of Sky. So I, for one, will be tuned in with me popcorn at 7:30, and I'm sure you will be too, to see what happens with regards to that. Of course, we said in the opening titles, Super League is back. This is where we left it. Of course, Warrington, unbelievable, getting vertigo, sitting top of the table with Leeds just behind them. Wigan, Wakefield, Saints and Catalan making up the top 6. And of course, surprisingly, down there, your Lee Leopards in 13th. You wouldn't have thought that at the start of the season. And of course, they'll be looking to get back to winning ways tomorrow evening when they travel to York. So let's start going through the fixtures one by one. We always do it in reverse order, as you know, Carla. So we're going to start with Sunday's game. Nothing can be taken for granted was the slogan that we gave for this one at the start of the show. And what we mean by that is, let's not forget, when Huddersfield went to the Brick, many would have said that was a foregone conclusion, and look what happened there.
Well, you just never know. This season so far, it is literally anybody can beat anybody on any day, and we actually don't know what we're going to get. Like you say, everybody would have probably bet the house on Huddersfield losing at the Brick, and that certainly didn't happen. No. That being said, there's a lot of disruption for the Wigan side this week. So be interesting to see how the halves pairing get on there and who is actually going to turn up, because I've not seen team news for Wigan yet.
No, that'll be tomorrow. Yes, yeah. And let's discuss that. And Carla now can actually attest. I always say on these shows, you never know where I'm going to go. The panel never know where I'm going to go, and you don't. But you've actually segued quite nicely into that, because let's go there. So you're absolutely right. Obviously, with Harry Smith getting his 3-game ban, it does open up questions as to what's going to happen in the half-back position. We know Farriman's going to slot in at 7, no doubt. That's easy. That's easily done. We have seen Matt Peat in the past, but Adam Kieran in at standoff. That's happened. I know Tom Ford has been recalled as well. Whether that's so that he doesn't play against his parent club, or they're actually going to bring him in. And of course, from there, do they look at Ford, or do they look at O'Neill, which isn't on the graphic? I doubt that that'd be the case, if I'm being perfectly honest. So I'm going to suggest to you one of two things. He's either going to put Adam Kieran in at standoff, which opens the door potentially to Dane Sambu and to Johnny Vaughan, who we haven't seen yet. So one of those two could slot in at centre alongside Farrell. Or what he could do, which, again, I'm not quite sure about this, he could put Field in at 6, and then that allows him to bring Hodgkinson in. I personally would like to see him not change the structure. So that's going to be difficult. And what I mean by that, in centre, I would rather him here put a centre, leave Field where he is, put a like-for-like centre in either Sambu, who's played really, really well. What he could actually do with Dane Sambu is put him on the wing and bring Eckersley in to the centre just to show.
Yeah, that was would have been what I was going to suggest.
Yeah, was that what? So is that where you think he'll go?
I think he'll put Kieran in the halves. We've seen him do it quite a few times already. We know it works. It's not the ideal scenario, but they can make it work. But that being said, I don't recall having him in the halves with obviously someone as young as Farriman. I could be wrong. It could have happened, but off the top of my head, I don't recall him being with an inexperienced half, if you like.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think the fact that we've seen Kieran deputised there before now probably suggests that that's what he'll do. I think if Lehman had still been at the club, he might have flirted with maybe Cruz Lehman at 6, but obviously he's not there. So, like I say, opportunity may knock here for either Dane Sambu or young Johnny Vaughan. Or, of course, what he might do, like I say, we've seen he might be put Hodgkinson maybe on the wing. You know, that's something he could do. Which allows Eckersley to come inside. So that's it. I mean, there's no doubt about it. We're going to disrupt it going into this game. No Walters as well, who's been playing really good in second row, and that's before you get into the likes of Bevan French, etc. That said, Wigan on an incredible winning streak against Castleford. They've won the last 14 against the Tigers, and that pretty much tells you a lot in terms of where these go. The Tigers have come close on a few occasions, but Wigan always seem to know how to get on top with regards to this. So how do the Tigers win it, Carla? So I'm going to present this one to you. So first and foremost, I think Weaver, two things where Weaver's concerned. One, his defence has got to be stronger in terms of his missed tackles, and he's got to get on the front foot. We've seen glimpses from Tom Weaver, but for me personally, we haven't really seen him really grab the game, probably other than, I think, maybe the Huddersfield game where he had a decent one. He's not really grabbed the bull by the horns, has he?
I think he was, speaking of bulls, I think he was all right in the Cast Bulls game as well, actually. I think he did really well in there. But yeah, I do. It'll be a tough test for him. I think it'll be a big stand-up. Obviously, they played in round 1, was
it? Who did?
Wigan Cast. That's when they played at Castleford. Is that right, round 1?
Well, they played them early in the season. Yeah, do you know what? You've caught me on the up there. But I think this is the return fixture, isn't it?
I think so. And obviously that was okay, but it was obviously a bit mad with disruption in that game as well in terms of players leaving the field injured and whatnot. Definitely.
Was that cup? Or was it?
I thought
you've got me right in your head now.
Could be wrong, but
no, it wasn't. You're right. No, you're right. It was league. Go on.
Yeah. So obviously, we'll expect disruption for Wigan's halves, which might give him an opportunity really to shine in this, so to speak. But I do think he does need to be better defensively. He does fall off a lot of tackles. But that being said, Farriman's missed tackles have been atrocious for the last 2 games. Absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, I think opportunity knocks there on both sides. Then you come into Lawler, who I think George Lawler's been exceptional in second row. They've been operating him out of the front row. I think, you know, They need Lawler to play really, really well. Mellor coming back 2 weeks ago. Of course, they had the break for the Challenge Cup. That's a big one. I think Alex Mellor, for me, really does show up that left edge for Castleford. He's a quality player. And, of course, he'll be paired with Mapalangi and Jason Gary on that side. And I think that left edge of Castleford has to be on fire for them to stand any chance.
Yeah, that left edge Castleford making huge meters every time they play, regardless of who they're playing. So they get a break down that side. They are quite quick off the mark and can make a lot of meters. Yeah, the other side, not too spiffing by all accounts so far.
I mean, you'd be hard pushed to go against Wigan. Like I say, stats tell you that Wigan often come out on this one on top. So as we do every week, you're in the chair, so I'm going to ask you for your prediction. What's your prediction for Wigan against Castleford this Sunday?
No, I'm going to throw this out there and say my Super Brew predictions have been hideous, absolutely diabolical. So I wouldn't take anything that I say for gospel, but I've gone Wigan by 18 for this.
You think as big as that?
Yeah. I do. I think even with the disruption, I think Castleford are playing not with a lot of confidence right now. I think they might have Ravalawa back and Semi Valame as well.
No, they're not back. No, they're not going to be back now.
So then that edge is looking dubious still on the other side. So, yeah, I think some tries will be running.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to see past Wigan. I mean, like I say, well done to you for remembering the game earlier in the season. There was only 10 points in that, 26-16. So, you know, that says a lot. But yeah, I mean, even with the adversity, home crowd, I'm going to say it's going to be tighter. I don't know what it is at the minute with Wigan. They just don't seem to be firing. I think they've got a couple of bit of issues there, but I'm still going to give it. I'm going to go Wigan by 10. So I'm going to go Wigan by 10. A little bit in from where you are, but I do see a Wigan win. But like I say, that left edge of the Tigers needs to be as good as it was when Gary on his hat trick and Mapalangi was doing his stuff and all the rest of it against the Bulls. I mean, they need that type of performance on that edge in order to win this one. Right, let's get into a real juicy affair. Let's go over to Perpignan this Saturday as Warrington Wolves go and take on the Catalan Dragons. Should be a good atmosphere. Warrington normally do travel in numbers. The teams have come out for this one today. These are they. And as you can see, no Kai Taylor-Ray. He's out. Of course, that was rumoured. And again, let's give credit to Carrie, who does all the stuff for Tackle Talk. Really keeps on top of all the injuries. And you weren't quite sure this week what was going to happen with Kai Taylor-Ray and the hand injury that was disclosed at full time. Well, clearly that's going to keep him out. So we would expect Josh Fulis to go back into fullback, and that'll probably opens the door for Josh Smith, I'm guessing, to come back for Warrington. Saying that, is he actually listed? I've not really looked at this one. Could even be Lachlan Webster looking at that comes in.
No, he's not listed. You've got Ewan Smith, but not Josh.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So it's going to be interesting here to see what he does. That would probably open the door for Lockie Webster, whether that be at full-back or on the wing. So that's going to be interesting to see what Warrington done. Oh, Jake's back.
Jake's back as well. You call Jake.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Jake Fulis has been recalled, of course, from Castleford. So that's what's going to happen. Josh will go to full-back, and this could be an opportunity for Jake Fulis to come back into the starting lineup for Warrington. Apart from that, and of course, Luke Yates going down, they do seem to be in good shape, do the Warrington Wolves. And of course, the good news for the Catalan Dragons coming into this game is their spine is there. You know, you've got Staines is there, Sexton, Dodd, and Lehman, and of course Garcia returns, which is good news for them. You never know what Catalan you're going to get, Carla, do you?
No, they're a bit of a mixed bag so far this season. Obviously, last week Saints turned them over easily. But we've seen them put out strong performances. Obviously, the game against KR, they were brilliant in the comeback for that. So yeah, I don't know whether sometimes maybe I feel a bit unfair when I say it, but I expected Toby Sexton to be better than what he's been in the Catalan side. I don't think he's been bad. I just expected him to be better from what I've seen of him in the NRL. But obviously he has had a little bit of disruption. Dodd was out for a couple of weeks, but he's back. He was back last week.
Yes.
Charlie Staines, I think, has been fantastic for Catalan. he has been a big pickup, and obviously I've seen rumours about him returning back down under for Perth Bears. So that'd be a big miss for Catalan if that happened after this season, because I think he's been incredible, and I think he's still top meter maker overall.
He is 1,391 metres, Charlie Stein.
Yeah, I'm a big fan, actually. Really like him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the spine looks good for Catalan. I think Doddy's running the line really well as well. I think the other thing as well, as you look at Warrington's team, Toff Sipley back in there, which might be a little bit ahead of schedule. Whether he plays or not is another question. But coming up against a sizable Catalan pack, of course, the loss of Yates, if Sipley does come back in, that's been diluted quite considerably there. But the likes of Sate, Bousquet back as well, they have got some size, Catalan. So this has got all the makings of being a real good contest on Saturday night. I picked out a couple of battles I wouldn't mind you discussing with me. The first one, I think quality on show at 13. You've been watching Super League Raw for many years now. You know how much we rate Ben Garcia. But Ben Curry is in incredible form. Was on the bench, of course, in our team of the month of March. Got a double against your Leopards at the weekend. You saw him firsthand, Carla. Ben Curry really is now starting to look a very accomplished 13, isn't he?
It looks like he's really enjoying his season. He's showing every inch of his contract. Like I said the other day, he's worked hard for that contract, and he's enjoying his rugby this year. It's showing, no doubt. He's playing with confidence, and I think it'll be a really, really tasty matchup, actually, because Garcia steadies the ship, no doubt, for Catalan. He is a real leader on that pitch for them, and when he doesn't play, they fall apart pretty quickly. So if they can keep him on field, because he does seem to keep leaving, actually, for HIAs and various different things, injuries, little niggles picked up. If they can keep him on field, that'll be a major boost for them.
Yeah, the other thing with Ben, of course, as well, is sometimes his indiscipline can affect his games as well, as you know. But I think as a 13, we were very surprised last year that Ben Garcia was playing from hooker. He's never in the history of man.
Terrible decision.
Yeah, that wasn't the best. I think what that was a case that they had to accommodate Partington, and unfortunately that meant putting a square peg in a round hole. But yeah, he's only played 4 times thus far this season. We must caveat that graphic that Garcia has only played 4 times in Super League to Ben's 7. For the purposes of the people listening on the podcast, this is how the stats break down between Ben Garcia and Ben Curry. Ben Curry 3 tries to 0 up. Tackle bus goes away Garcia 12-7. Breaks 2-0 in the favour of Ben Curry. Tackles both get through good work. Ben Curry 199 tackles, 96% efficiency compared to 99 in 4 games for Garcia, also 96% efficiency. 85 carries from Ben for 571 as a loose forward. That's good going. That's telling you that he's taking on the responsibility down the middle as well as link-up play. Ben Garcia, 46 carries for 320. When you see Ben Curry, let's play predominantly the majority of his career in the second row. When you compare it, I know you've got to take into account 7 games to 4 to get that, but when you see Ben Curry's stats alongside somebody like Ben Garcia, and they look like that, it's fair to say that Ben Curry now is a force at 13. Definitely.
Like I say, I think he's really enjoying it there, and it's showing in the performances he's putting out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be a key battle. As to is this, 2 of the best in the game when it comes at running from dummy half. And of course, both are really benefiting from the new rules in 2026. Danny Walker and Cruz Leeming. Again, before I bring Carla in, I'll just go through the graphic that people are watching on the webcast here. Assists 5-0 to Danny Walker. That's incredible from Danny, to be fair to him. 6 busts to 8. That is in Cruz's favour. 2 breaks to 0 in Danny's favour. Dummy runs 40 from Danny Walker, 23 from Cruz Leeming. Both get through decent work in the middle. 230 tackles for Leeming, 191 for Danny Walker. Carries pretty similar, 50 for Leeming, 411 metres, 45 from Danny Walker, 422. And I think those last 2 stats in terms of carries and in terms of metres really does highlight, Carrie, that these 2 are taking full advantage of the new ruck interpretations.
Definitely. As soon as the new ruck interpretations were kind of spoken about, you could pinpoint straight away which 9s we're going to enjoy this season and we're going to really take it on. Obviously, bit of a difference for Cruz this year down in the south of France, enjoying the nice nice sunshine life there with the baguettes and the wine. Doesn't seem to be doing him any ill. So he's playing with a bit of zip. I think Danny has picked up where he left off. Obviously, we saw less of him last year after his injury, and as soon as he did come back into the wide side, he looked like he'd never been away, and he changed the back end of your season definitely. I think his runs from dummy half, we'll see a lot. We'll see a lot of them in this game. Expect it to be quite fast paced, actually.
Yeah, I think the pack, whichever pack gets on top, if they can get a quick ruck speed, then either one of these could be the one that breaks it alight. And we've seen quite a lot of times this season. So, I mean, I've certainly seen it at Warrington with Danny Walker, where he's had a quick ruck down centre field, and the likes of Albert Hopewati, Ben Curry, etc., have been on the shoulders. And Warrington have actually, from deep, from about 60 metres out, have had some joy from breaking down the middle due to Danny Walker going out at dummy half. And like I say, I think the middle battle is going to be critical, and then the one that can get quick ruck speed with these two on the field, that is going to give them a big advantage. We know what on the edges there's plenty of quality, and that's going to be interesting. Like Toby King going up against Fatape, who thinks, do you know what? I think Fatape for me is going a little bit under the radar. I think he's not having a bad season. What's your thoughts on
he was one that I was going to pick out of the lineup, actually, that I thought even last week in what was a pretty shabby performance for Dragons, I thought he really stood up and he played well. I'm enjoying him. He's really physical, especially when he gets close to the line. Can muscle his way over easily. And he puts himself about quite a bit on the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I always remember, I can't remember if it was last season or the season before, it might have been last season when Tarek Sims absolutely nailed George, it might have been the season before, George Williams on this field. But Williams was in our team of the month. And your thoughts on Williams, because he is a player that comes into a lot of criticism, isn't he? But at this moment in time, he seems to be backing up his words that he wants to go out Warrington in the right way.
Yeah, he definitely does look like he wants to go out with a bang. I don't really have any bad words to say about Williams' performances so far this season. I think he's playing well. Whoever he's played at the side of as well, obviously he's played at the side of Sneed, he's played at the side of Irwin. It's not disrupted the way he's been playing. Are we expecting Sneed this week, do you think?
Well, I think it's one of those, isn't it, where I think the way that Sneed has played in the two games against Lee, it's hard to think that he'll be dropped. But then, I think it's one of those again now where maybe you and Irwin will have to wait his turn again, whether that be injury or whatever it may be. I mean, you've seen that first down in the last 2 weeks. Would you drop Mark Sneed?
No.
There you go. So you're probably right. You're probably right in that respect. But George Williams leading the assist charts currently with 9 in Super League. Right. Coachless Catalan Dragons going up against Warrington. Your thoughts on this one?
What have I got? Let's see. Where are we? I've gone way by 12.
You've gone 12. So you
do better at home than they do away.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting some points and a bit of a response after last week's. They'll be wanting to respond to that.
Yeah, I think that's a great shout, because if you actually look at Warrington's results against Catalan in Perpignan, they're normally sub 10. They do find it difficult. That said, I do think at the moment Warrington are in great form. I think Catalan at the moment, because of the disruption, don't get me wrong, they'll want to put on a performance, but I think Warrington have got to go there and win this by 16. I think they've got to keep the momentum going. And I think, the fact that Sipley could be back, I think that's big for this particular game in terms of that punch down the middle. And we were talking about Danny Walker having joy from dummy half. When Toff Sipley's been playing at Warrington this year, Danny Walker has been right behind him at every carry, and that's where the ruck speed has come. He's normally come on after about 20, 25 minutes, and that's been quite potent. So it'll be interesting to see if Sipley's in, if that carries on in Perpignan. So I'm going by 16. So at the minute, you've gone Wigan by 8 more than me, and I've gone Warrington 6 more than you. So that's and both of us are doing shocking in the
prediction. Four more than me. I went by 12.
Well, you're on 12, 4. Okay. You're keeping count. Well done. Outstanding. Right, okay, let's get, I tell you what, this, Wakefield Trinity, I mean, they will be absolutely gutted off the back of the weekend. I think we've all had our say on the various podcasts this week in terms of that particular game. An opportunity certainly passed them by against Wigan in the Challenge Cup. But what they'll want to do is come back and do the Bradford Bulls and do them well done, as per the little graphic there. The teams for these have actually come out. And, of course, the big news coming into this game, if you're a Wakefield Trinity fan, is Caius Fire-Tilly returns. It's fair to say his second season in Super League has been disrupted a little bit with injury, etc. But at some point, Caius Fire-Tilly, you would hope, will regain the form of 2025, Carl.
You'd hope so. He was a real shining light for Wakefield last year. He was putting in some big efforts down the middle there. It'd be nice to see him back, because when he breaks the line, he's really hard to stop, and he's got some pace for a prop. So
very, very, very much so. Very, very much so indeed. I mean, when you look at the Bradford squad there, I mean, again, for the purposes of the podcast, there's a lot of players missing from this one. I mean, for example, no Jaden Nikarima, which is a massive loss for them in that team. He's not there. Rowan Milnes also not there. So their starting halfback partnership is not in the 21-man squad, and that alone creates for them a massive problem, doesn't it?
It does. They've got a couple who are doubtful as well. On top of that, I think 50-50 on Ryan Sutton with a quad injury. So he's obviously been putting massive defensive efforts in for Bulls.
Regularly, he's not been selected. He's not in the 21. So again, that's beating him. So the huge losses.
It's not good. But they have got Evan Sker back, and he was playing well before he went off with injury. So it might compensate a little bit, but they'll miss that definitely.
Absolutely. And then again, for the purposes of the podcast, I mean, you look at the squad numbers of Wakefield Trinity, and the first gap that comes in is 13, and that's not through injury, that's through suspension, and that's Jazz Tavanga. They have got a very, very clean bill of health indeed, have Wakey coming into this tie. And we all know, and I think we all respect Wakefield Trinity as a squad. I think, what they achieved last year and what they continue to achieve when they can put the best team out. They can mix it with any of the top sides. And when you look at a Bradford squad that, let's be fair, is littered now with names that not many people are going to know a lot of depth about. They're having to really bring in, a couple of their fringe players. It looks a bit disjointed in terms of, positionals and who's going to play where. It's a problem, this, for Bradford, isn't it, on Saturday?
I think it is. I'm looking at a potentially heavy defeat for Bradford here. I think Wakefield will be disappointed after last week. They'll be wanting to come back strong this week. And, like you say, based on the health overall of both squads, you can't see past a Wakefield big win, I don't think.
No. I think, one of the key men is we've got some nice battles. I mean, look, before we get into the predictions, I think it's only right we try and pick out some things to look at as a narrative. I think the narrative, again, at 13, two vintage players, of course, coming to the back end of the careers now in Jay Pitts and a man that you love, Mr. Mellor. And this was done before you even know you were coming on the show. Who'd have known? It was written in the stars that you'd be able to talk about Joe on the captain's run.
I'd have put my T-shirt on if I'd have known.
Well, there you go, the Joe Mellor T-shirt. But look, both are playing a great pros, brilliant pros. But Mellor, like I say, this year, a try and assist, 3 breaks, 19 bust, 355 tackles. He don't miss many, 92 carries for 469 metres. It's fair to say that Mr. Mellor is really showing what a great player he is. I mean, if he was in a top side, it'd be frightening, wouldn't it, in terms of what he could maybe produce?
It would. He's a jack of all trades as well. You catch him all over the field. Obviously, when he was at Leeds, he played a bit of 6 for us. He's played at 9 for us. I think he's had a goal just about everywhere, to be honest. But I don't think I would have said, I would have expected him to be in a 13 shirt this year. Just based on the size of him, actually. Usually a little bit bigger. But he's absolutely bossing it. He's had an unbelievable season, and like I say, he's coming to the back end of his career now. He's showing no signs of slowing down at all. If you're getting over 70 plus tackles in games, that's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. He has been outstanding. And again, we're comparing and contrasting him to another brilliant pro, Jay Pitts. Absolutely fantastic player. And Pitts' stats are good. He's got an assist, 6 busts in there, 229 tackles, 72 carries for 418 metres. So, like I say, and he's playing in a Wakefield squad that hasn't been as disjointed as Bradford's has. I think what Joe Mellor showed as well here in abundance is his leadership qualities in terms of going, first over the top in every game.
Definitely. And I think when we're comparing stats with Jay, you have to remember he shares that role with Jazz. He doesn't play as many minutes as Joe does, plays usually the full game. So stats might be a little bit skewed to Mr. Mellor, but I'd like to think that he's earned them anyway. But I just have to say he does play less minutes, so maybe that's why they don't match up in some places.
Yeah, well, absolutely, and of course we'll keep an eye on that and see how this one goes. And do you know what? Just as a side, an opportunity here for people to maybe appreciate when this game is played. If it's got the feel that this could be a tough day at the office for Bradford. So for those people who are going to tune in and want to get into the real detail of rugby league, I think for me, you'd be well placed to just keep an eye on these two. Second to none, the 2 second rowers at Wakefield Trinity, Seth Nicotimo and Isaiah Vigana. These 2 players, it's probably one of the most unsung yet difficult jobs in rugby league, to play 80 minutes in the second row. They do good, they do a lot in attack, but they also do a lot in defence. And these 2 this year have been incredible. Nicotimo's got a try. Vigana yet to get off the mark there. Both have had an assist. Nicotimo's had a break. Vigana again yet to get off the mark. But Vigana, in terms of tackle bust, incredible. 23 to Nicotimo's 7. Both do a lot of defence. Vigana more, 243 tackles to 151 for Nicotimo. And again, the carries, and look at the meters they're making. 82 carries for Vigana, 652 meters, compared to Nicotimo, 50 carries less, but equally impressive, 409 meters. I mean, these 2 players for me, Carla, are playing incredible rugby league in 2026.
Yeah, they really are. I gave a little shout out actually to Wagner on Monday. I think he's been sensational this season. Nicotimo was marred a little bit by injuries last season. This season he's really hit the ground running. But yeah, 652 meters is massive. And from the back row, he's doing really well there. And I did have a little cheeky thing. I was like, I would not mind seeing him in a leopard shirt. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's certain players, isn't there, that you see in other squads, and you go, do you know what? He does a shift. He does, and like I say, a lot of the second rowers, it's one of those positions in rugby league that I don't think at times gets the praise it deserves. And these 2 at the moment are right up there in terms of form and impact. I think they're incredible. So again, if you are tuning in and it is a little bit of a score, it's not necessarily what they do on the ball as well, it's what they do off the ball. I mean, what I love about second rowers is the lines that they run that creates the space for centres. And again, the untrained eye doesn't see that. And I think it's not necessarily, not in attack, they don't necessarily have to have the hands on the ball. It's the lines that they run, it's the honest efforts that they put in. So it might just be worth people keeping an eye on these 2 when this one kicks off, and just see with your own eyes what me and Carla's been saying. 2 really good masters of the craft when it comes to second row play. Right, you did say you fancy Wakefield. By how many?
I'm going to go by maybe 18, possibly 20. I do think if they get a roll on, I think it'll be a bit of a party for them.
A bit of a party. Everyone's invited. I'm going 32.
Oh, that is a party.
Yeah, I think the disappointment. The reason I say that, I could be wrong, but the reason I say that, they're coming off the back of a disappointing loss to Wigan in the Challenge Cup, and that'll sting. So they'll want to really kick on. They'll want to show the mettle, and they're coming up against the Bradford side, which is unfortunate. If this was the same Bradford side that kicked off the season with maybe Jaden Nikarima included as well, you think, well, actually, do you know what? They've got enough. They've got enough in that starting 17 to go to Wakefield. It'd be a bit of a ding-dong. But when you look at that squad that we've just looked at, key people missing from that squad, and they're coming up against a Wakey squad that's fully fit, fully, raring to go bar to bar. Like, it's going to be a bloodbath, I think. And I'm sorry to say that, Bradford fans, but out.
Yeah, I think so. I think we all kind of said similar at the start of the season. Nearly all three sides, newly promoted sides, were going to be fine in the first 1 to 17. They could compete, but as soon as they start dropping out and you're replacing them with a lot of unknown players and players that are going to have to fit in rather than play where they're supposed to, they're going to start running into problems. And I think that's definitely coming into play now, looking at some of the squads this week.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The promoted sides have certainly got a tough round number 8. Speaking of which, let's go to this one. Tomorrow night, can the Knights escape the Leopards' trap? There's no doubt about it. They'll be circling the Leopards going into this one. And, let's just have a little chat. Tackle Talk is out. Of course, the new all-women's panel talking Men's Super League, to which you were a massive front and centre part of that with your stats. I think you're the stat guru of that one. Quite a landmark evening tomorrow. Explain to the female women watchers of Captain's Run what the Tackle Talkers are doing tomorrow night.
So at Ladies Tackle Talk, it was in discussion. York's kind of in the middle ground for a lot of us. So we're going to meet up. I think we've got Tigers fans, KR fans, FC fans, and a few Leopards. I know we've put a bit of a cheeky plug on the York side, York fan forums to see if we can recruit some followers while we're there. I know Steph is going to be wearing a Super League Raw Ladies jumper, and we'd like it if people could give us a wave and come and have a chat, see if we can get some more ladies involved, because we've been hearing week by week off different members what Tackle Talks brought to their life and their enjoyment of the sport, and there's been some really good stories. And what is the overall takeaway from each person that spoke so far is the friendship that it's brought to their lives, and just a safe space really to voice your opinions. We are genuinely all friends, and it doesn't matter what colour you were. So yeah, it's a nice space, and we'd really love it if we could recruit some members.
We absolutely would. There's a few proud moments that I've had since doing this. Of course, Alfie Sales would be certainly up there, number one. Young Oliver, of course, bringing him onto the show and giving him a platform to build has been nice as well. But I would have to say right up there is the brainwave of last season to have an all-female Super League Raw Ladies Tackle Talk podcast. And I have to say, with every passing week, it's getting better and better. You're all getting into your stride. It's coming across really, really well. And I'm sure not only the women supporters of Super League are enjoying it, but I know a lot of the men are as well. You know your stuff. And you're proving that, and it's a great listen. So if you're not listening to Super League Raw Ladies Tackle Talk yet, you can find it on Spotify and Apple. We always plug it on our social medias as and when it is uploaded. And now you can put a face to the name when Carla's talking her wonderful statistics. And yes, if you see them tomorrow night in York, go and give them a wave, because they're a very, very happy-go-lucky bunch, very happy people, and they'd love to have a chat with you about the great game of rugby league.
We're all sat in the East Stand.
East Stand. So if you're in the East Stand, that is where you will find the Ladies Tackle Talkers. If you can't see them, you'll hear them. Don't worry about that. Is Dawn going?
Dawn is going.
Oh, well, definitely. Then. She won't mind me saying that. I love our Dawn. Right, okay, but hey, that's great. But there's a serious 2 points that's on the line. And of course, you've got a vested interest in that as a Leopard. So let's talk that. I mean, again, you talk about teams that are suddenly having to do it tough, and that would be York. And I know you as a Leopard. We'll get into yours in a minute, Carla. But when you look at that York squad, they have got big players missing for their team in terms of their hopes and aspirations for this season. Matasafa was in incredible form before he's dislocated. I think it was his arm, wasn't it? He was outstanding at fullback, absolutely incredible. He's not there. John Bennison yet to come into the squad. Jones Bishop, who I think's had a really good season for him. There's a lot of question marks over Ben Jones Bishop, but to be fair to him, you know, he's answered all them and them some. Liam Harris, they're starting 7. He's not there. And the backup in Danny Richardson's not there either. So that's a real problem going into this one for Mark Applegarth. We talk about experience and quality at 13. Jordan Thompson, he's of course out. He's injured. No Will Dagger. Nick Al Williams, who's been playing a lot for them in centre, he's out this week as well. So they've got a real, Will Roberts is out. Another one who's, I think he might have only played 1 or 2 games, but he now finds himself on the sidelines as well. So again, Mark Applegarth has got a real problem in the fact that a lot of injuries, and a lot of those injuries are, for him, vitally important players in terms of their aspirations. The depth isn't as strong as perhaps other Super League clubs is. That's where they sit coming into this. Then, of course, we go to the Lee Leopards. And, of course, your biggest headache is your centre spots. And I've got a question for you in 1 second, but let's just, again, for the purposes of the podcast, just go through who's missing for Lee. So no David Armstrong still, albeit I'm led to believe he's not far away. Keenan Brand, still not there. Tessie New, of course, he picks up a shoulder injury at Warrington. He's not there. Hanley as well picked up another knock. He's out as well. Not thought to be too long, these, but they're still out again. Aaron Penny, who's been offered to other clubs, he's gone. He's not there this week. Bailey Hodgson, of course, the backup to Armstrong. He's not there. Badrock, who would have been useful with Tessie New and Hanley out because he can play back row or can play centre. He's not there. But the one that I want to, I'll bring you in on this from a league perspective, and then we'll get right into the ribs of it. The thing that's really surprised me this week, and I wanted to get your view as a Lafer, is Will Brough. Will Brough has been loaned out to Halifax Panthers for a week in a week where you've got no centres. As a Leopards fan, that's got to be a big head scratcher for you, surely.
So, going back a few weeks, we had a similar little bit of a gripe about Will Brough actually on Tackle Talk. We'd done the same again. He was 18th man, and we didn't play him. And I just thought it was insane. I can only assume that Adrian Lamb just really doesn't think he's ready. Obviously, we played him against our first outing against you guys, and I don't think he did much wrong in that game at all. He didn't really make many, if any, mistakes. Actually, I think he did what he could do in what was such a poor performance from Lee and a quality performance from Wire. I think he did what he could, and I was really surprised to see that we'd loaned him to Halifax for the week. I just can't understand it unless he's thinking we really need all the experienced players in the squad this week we need a win, essentially. We need a win. And I think both teams coming into this, I think, are 1 from 6. So, it's a big game for both teams, and that experience will be crucial. But where the experience is going to play is a problem.
Well, but that's it, isn't it? Your centre spots is a big headache because somebody's got to go and fill in there. Maybe it's AJ Towles. Maybe comes back in because he has been putting Alec in there, hasn't he? When you've had Tessie New, now Tessie's gone as well. So you'd expect Alec to be in there. Would that be fair?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't know whether we're going to go with Jack Hughes on one centre, and I know that's my face too. But I think the important thing is that he does actually have centre experience, albeit way back. I think it's like 2019, the last time he actually played there for a substantial amount of time. He does have centre experience, whereas as far as I know, Jacob Alec-Winke doesn't, which is not helpful. I think we might see Taus on the other edge with Josh. I don't know whether we'll bring Josh in and play Josh at centre, because obviously Josh also has centre experience. And put Taus on the wing.
Or Innes.
Same on that edge. It could do it. I don't know. None of the others that I can see are fast enough to play on the wing. So it could be that we bring Innes in and put Taus on that edge on the wing and have Josh and Hughes on the other edge, which I think would be a mistake. I'd split them personally.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I mentioned Benison earlier. He is in the squad, but I think he's unlikely to play for people.
We have got Sam Wood back, though, which is...
Well, we're coming to that. We are coming to that. Absolutely. Like I say, for me, where Brough was concerned, look, we've got to look at this objectively. And I saw Will Brough first hand against Warrington in that league game. And he wasn't the enemy. I mean, it wasn't a good day at the office for Lee at all. I mean, there's very few players that came out of that with any real note. Gareth O'Brien did. And I actually thought that, when you consider Will Brough's lack of experience at Super League level, he was coming up against the Warrington Wolves side that was in really, really strong form as well. For me, he wasn't the enemy on that left edge. I thought he had a competent game. And when you consider you're going up against York this Friday, with the greatest respect, Warrington York, there's a bit of a difference there. I think this would have been a real opportunity for Will Brough to come back into the squad. And have a bash at York for his development. So, like you, I'm amazed that Will Brough's gone. Amazed.
Yeah, I am too. I don't think it is the best idea, but like I say, I can only assume we've chosen to back experience and thought we need all the experience on the field that we've got. But with experience comes brain explosions and lack of pace. And it's never a lack of effort, never ever a lack of effort, but it definitely is a lack of pace on the edge and game smarts as well.
You were massively improved at the weekend, but cup football can do that to a side. It can lift them a couple of levels. Before we go on to a couple of key head-to-heads and then the prediction for this one with your good self, Adrian Lamb's come out and said that he still thinks that Lee can finish in the top 2. As a Leify, do you?
No, but like I say, we've had similar starts to this and limped in that top 6. Top 4, possibly, but it would be a big push and a big ask for me.
You'd take 6 now, wouldn't you? You'd take 6.
Yeah, I personally see it as a success if we limp into the 6 at this point. But you've got to have them aspirations as a coach and as a club and as a side. If you haven't, then you're not going to go anywhere. So
no, and if you do limp in, by then hopefully your injuries have rectified. The combinations maybe have got a little bit stronger. Players that are currently out of form. You know, I think we've given enough over the other podcast where Adam Cook's concerned in that debate. I have your views on that in Tackle Talk, that he's got to be given time. So by the time you get to that end of the season, things could look and feel very different at the Leopards. But
definitely. And I'm wondering if we might be due maybe someone coming in if we're looking to release Penny and move him on now. I can't see why we'd do that in season if we're not going to bring anybody in. Does it make sense to me to do that?
I think you're probably right. And we know that right from the beginning of the season that Adrian Lamb was looking to really strengthen his core middle unit right from game 1. Maybe they've identified that person and it's on. We will find out. That's probably imminent if Penny is already being offered out.
That's if we can find him a club.
Well, that's it, isn't it? That's it. But that said, there's a lot of injuries around Super League at this moment in time. So, whether they can secure a loan deal for the year, freeze it up.
I know, obviously, Chris Chester brought him in to Lee. It might be that Chris Chester takes him to Castleford.
Well, we will wait and we will see. But let's try and find something for you to keep your eye on. Not that you'll struggle, of course, with being your Lee on the field tomorrow night. But this is a belting little. This is a great tussle. This is a phenomenal tussle. Paul Vaughan, Robbie Mulhern. Both of these players for me are having a phenomenal season. Robbie Mulhern, I've seen him obviously play Warrington twice. I also saw him against Toulouse. I mean, Robbie Mulhern, the minutes he's doing and what he's doing at this moment in time, he is going to leave a big vacuum behind him when he leaves Lee for Castleford at the end of this season. Let's go through the tale of the tape. Vaughan, 3 tries to 0. Great return that from Paul Vaughan thus far this season. Offload 7-4 to Vaughan as well. Both of them trying to be expansive and keep the ball alive for that second phase. 3 breaks from Paul Vaughan. I mean, I say you can't fault this. You really can't. He's gone to York and he's not gone there for a paycheck. He's gone there to earn his stripes and he's doing a good job. 19 tackle busts to 9. Again, in Vaughan's favour. But then we go into D. And I think this is reflective, Carla, of where Lee currently have been in terms of, you played some big sides in, away from home and at home this season. Robbie's had to do 252 tackles to Vaughan's 197. And that might take a little bit out in terms of going forward. Both have carried the ball 86 times. Paul Vaughan, 662 metres. Robbie Mulhern, 570. You must be impressed with both players. We'll talk about yours first. Would it be right in saying that on this form, it's going to be hard to replace Robbie Mulhern next season at Lee?
I'm genuinely devastated about the departure of Robbie. I think he's going to be extremely hard to replace. And if I'm assuming the rumours are true and he is going to Castleford, it's a great pickup for them. He works so hard and there's no silliness, there's no drama. He takes the field every week and works incredibly hard. Like you say, his tackles have been brilliant, and we've got a backs crisis currently, but a few weeks ago we did very much have a forwards crisis, and Robbie stood up so well in that, playing huge minutes, 65, 70 minutes. I think 1 week he actually played 75 minutes. He has been incredible and he's worked really hard. Obviously he's susceptible to calf injuries, is Robbie, and he's staying fit so far this season and he's doing brilliant for us.
I felt for Robbie at the weekend because he was having a stellar game. He came on, and his first carry when he came back on, he dropped it. And we spoke a lot over the years with Alex Walmsley, where sometimes that's what people remember. And I think what people have got to remember about Robbie Mulhern this week, and pretty much what I've been seeing all season, his minutes that he's playing are unbelievable. The go forward he's giving Lee is unbelievable. Yes, he made an error, but show me a player who doesn't. Unfortunately, and in that game, it was a critical error because you just got ahead, and of course it allowed Warrington to get back on the front foot. But Robbie, for me, on this form, it's a vacuum. It's going to be interesting to see who they bring in to fill it. That said, the man on the other side, when you see the likes of a Paul Vaughan going to York, there'll be some people on the outside going, well, that's a last payday or whatever. But you've got to give Vaughan a lot of credit. This is the Paul Vaughan, the version of Paul Vaughan that we saw in that first season at Warrington. He really is putting in a proper shift for the Knights, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's really enjoying his time at York. I think he's putting in a big effort, and I think his leadership and his experience is doing the world good in the York side as well. Obviously, he's been playing a lot alongside Xavier Var.
Yeah, he's been incredible.
And he's been equally incredible. So I think they're working well together in that front row in the park there. And 662 metres, that's no slouch, is it?
No. Well, you say about VAR, he's got something that Varney's not got. He's been in a team of the week this year. Varney's not got that one yet. But yeah, VAR's been incredible.
Xavier VAR is another one that I've said maybe the Leopards might want to have a sniff around and have a nosy at, because I think he's a young lad and I think he's got quite a bit of potential there. Well,
there are rumours. There are rumours circulating on our WhatsApp chat that Andrew Henderson is potentially your new director of rugby league in waiting. That's been going around. Of course, we'll wait to see if that is made official or not. That's just a rumour at the moment. But based on what you're doing today, perhaps they'd be better off putting you in there because you're scouting like something not right. But anyway, let's get into another one. You mentioned you mentioned one of these earlier, and I want to mention one of my guilty pleasures. 2 returnees for this game, equally superb players. Again, these are players that just don't get the headlines. They don't really get, for me, the respect that they should get. But I'll tell you, timely returns. Where York are concerned, Sam Wood, he scored 3 tries this season, and some of them in pivotal games as well. He's been out injured, real quality. When he left Castleford, there was a lot of people saying he's finished, etc., and he's proving them wrong. He's back for this one. 3 breaks, 17 tackles, 128 tackles this year, 70 carries for 435 metres. And then for the Leopards, again, a man who I think most Super League coaches, maybe not fans, but most Super League coaches, if they have the opportunity of picking up Frankie Holton, they would certainly take a good, strong look at him, because his defensive efforts on the edge, year after year after year, are simply superb. And Lee look a completely different side defensively when Frankie Holton is on that edge. He also carries the ball. 219 tackles he's made this season, carried the ball 63 times for 436 metres. Again, because he's your player, we'll start with Holton. You must agree with me. A Lee Leopards with a Frankie Holton on the edge, it puts a padlock on the defence a little bit, doesn't it?
I do very much agree with you. Bizarrely, not everybody does. I've actually seen it in Lee fans groups this week that Frankie Holton should be a championship player, which is mind blowing. Considering I think not last season, was he top tackler overall last season? I'm sure he was.
He was the top tackler at Lee. I think he was something like 3rd or 4th in the league.
Yeah, insane stats. And like you said, defensively, we're a worse side without him. I can't see why anybody would think he needs to go elsewhere. Strange thought process. Like I say, he does make meters. He's not a line breaker. He's not a big hitter in terms of his running speed and things like that. And I think sometimes he just struggles to crash over the line when he gets in close. But I think on that edge, typically Lee fans have been watching Kai O'Donnell there, and it's a very different style of play that Frankie's got. But that's the shirt he now occupies, unfortunately. So I think maybe that's where the comparison comes from some Lee fans just not engaging the brain on the type of player that they actually are. But I think we'll be better with him this week. We missed him last week. And like I say, if he can stay fit, he's an essential part of the squad for Lee. It's nice to see Sam Wood back for York.
Absolutely.
Taste a little tussle.
Oh, it's a cracking tussle. I mean, look, in closing, where Frankie's concerned, the one stat that has surprised me, he hasn't scored a try, because he's normally good for a try in the amount of games he's scored, and I'm sure that could actually come this weekend. But yeah, in terms of Sam Wood, I think Sam Wood's a quality player. I was gutted when he got that injury for England in that nonsense friendly at France, and it really curtailed what at that time was, he was one of the centres in the league that season. He's struggled since then, but I think we've started to see at his time of York that he's coming back. He's Sam Wood, and I think that, with the centre, this for me, you look at the squads, it does look advantage Lee, and Lee should go and win this. They should. However, if York are going to somehow pull some out of the bag, I think Sam Wood could be a critical factor because of the centres that he's going to come up against. Wood has been there, done it, he's got the T-shirt. So the fact that Sam's back for this, for me, just creates a little bit of uncertainty on that edge where the defensively is concerned, because there's no doubt about it. If there's any vulnerability there, Sam will take it.
Yeah, definitely. He'll take advantage of what we're throwing together, I think, on the edges, because no matter which way you look at our squad, it is a throwing together on either edge. So he definitely will capitalise on that if he can. Obviously, he's missed a few games, so it depends how much fit he is, but I don't expect him to have too much problems.
Well, we will wait and see. Come on, then, give us your prediction. Where you're putting your money on this? Are you going with your side?
I am, but not by a lot. I think I've gone Lee by 8. We just seem to be struggling to string an 80-minute performance together. So it'll either be we come out of the blocks firing and we get a decent lead and then we fall apart in the second half, or vice versa. We are really struggling to keep it together for a full 80. So
fair enough. I've gone a bit more. I've gone Lee by 14. But I do think Lee take the win in this one, albeit if York can get a really good start, could be a very entertaining evening. And I'm sure looking forward to the photos and looking forward to an all-women's instant reaction at full time. Really looking forward to it.
Or even more up, we've got Tara Jones as a ref as well. We have been trying to reach out and see if we can grab her for a photo at the end, but we've not managed that.
The only way you're going to get, and I'll speak to Steph separately on that, there will be a way in which to achieve that. It won't be at full time. For obvious reasons. Referees don't stay on the field to have photos and autographs, but there will be a way around it, and I'm pretty sure that Tara will be up for a little photo op, probably at reception at the end of the game, but we'll try and get that sorted out. Right, okay, let's move on. This has got the makings of being a little belter, absolute belter, because Huddersfield has suddenly hit some form, and of course the return of Jake Connor. I couldn't resist that. He should have got a rhino bell. I couldn't resist that. I just couldn't. There's no doubt about it. This has got, because of Huddersfield's current form, it has got the feel that this could be a real belter of a game. Whether that is or not, I don't know, because certainly last season, Leeds battered Huddersfield on 2 occasions, home and away. Leeds come into this on a 3-game winning streak. The last win for Huddersfield against them was back in 24, 30 points to 24 at Headingley. Jake Connor played for Huddersfield that night. Swifty got a try, and Eason Masters was our man of the match at Super League Raw during that game. Of course, Eason no longer there, but it has got the feeling this of being a little gem. It really, really has. As I put up the squads, Carla, do you agree? Do you believe this could be a little gem of a game?
It could. Obviously, Giants have got a little bit of confidence at the minute. They've been a little bit of a resurgence for them. They've got players back, and they're playing with a bit of pride for the shirt, which obviously we've not seen too much of at the start of the season. And I think Leeds have managed to keep a mostly fit 1 to 17, which has obviously stood them in good stead so far this season.
Well, you know how strong Leeds are when Harry Newman goes out on loan. I mean, that tells you where their current levels of fitness are at. So, unbelievably, Huddersfield equally so. I mean, if you look down the Huddersfield lineup there, in terms of squad numbers, the first one that goes missing is Joe Greenwood at 12. Harry Rushton named back for this game. That's a real bonus. Because Sam Hewitt's still out as well. So it's Sam Hewitt, isn't it, who's 12? Joe Greenwood is still out for them as well. Still no Sutcliffe as well in the centre spots. George Flanagan still missing as well. But of course, Niall Evans is back, which is which will suit them fine. But it's as good as it gets, really, for a long time for Huddersfield. And again, from a Leeds perspective. So, we've always said if Huddersfield can put a fully fit side out, they should have a team that can compete with most sides. It's going to be very interesting to see, can they keep their current momentum going off the back of 2 good wins against Leeds? And it'd be some scalp if they could take Leeds down at the AQ, wouldn't it?
It really would. Obviously, hopefully, fans turn out for this one. It should be a game to really get behind. If Huddersfield can pull it off, they'll definitely be flying into the next few games really on a massive high.
I mean, look, Leeds have had some really good rings, of course, none more so than the one in Vegas, the one against Warrington as well, which was, I think most people would say would probably be in most people's top 3 games of the season in terms of the competitive nature of that particular tussle, without thinking off the top of my head of anyone's to rival that one. So they've had some really, really good wins. But of course, we can't forget that win that Huddersfield got at Wigan. And what I've done for the purposes of this discussion, and you won't have seen this, I've actually compared and contrasted their wins. So the statistics you're seeing on the left, that is the Huddersfield stats from their 34-16 win over Wigan. On the right are the Leeds stats for their 58-6 win over KR. And what's really interesting, this is why I say this could be a little gem, and for the purpose of the podcast, I'll go through it. So tries, comparing and contrasting Huddersfield's performance against Wigan to Leeds' performance against KR, and why I think this could potentially be an absolute ding-dong. 6 tries to 10 in Leeds' favour. Possession, 59% for Huddersfield, 58% for Leeds. Completion, 82% Huddersfield, 79% Leeds. Play the balls in the opposition's 20 metres. Huddersfield had 38 against Wigan. Leeds had 23. Of course, they did strike from deep against KR, but they had 23 against KR in Vegas. Tackle bus, 41 for the Giants, 51 for Leeds. Breaks, 8 for the Giants, 11 for Leeds. Missed tackles, 22 for the Giants, 18 for Leeds. Errors close as well, 6 for Giants, 9 for Leeds. Penalties, absolutely the same. They both conceded 7. Goal percentage is interesting, 90% conversion rate for the Rhinos, only 72 for the Giants at Wigan. Meters, just shy of 200 in it, 1393 for Huddersfield, 1563 for the Rhinos. Post-contact meters, again, very close, 467 for the Huddersfield Giants, 543 for Leeds. 11th against, I mean, the mad thing about this, Carla, right, and I'll bring you in now, because you will not have seen those stats side by side in terms of how close they are. But when you see all those other stats, it's hard to believe that there's 9 places between these two sides.
That's it. I think we have to remember when we talk about placement as well in the league this year, it's so tight from top to bottom. It really is. But yeah, you wouldn't believe that actually they are so far apart, and they have had vastly different seasons so far based on them stats. You wouldn't think so.
No, you wouldn't. And it's, I mean, people never know what I'm going to do for these shows, but, to pull out arguably their best performances of the season for each club and put them side by side, if they can replicate that this weekend, we're in for a belting game, aren't we? Yeah,
we are. I hope our Giants and our Rhino contingents are getting over for this one, because it looks like it should be a real tasty game.
It should. It almost certainly should. So where are you going on this one?
I have gone with Leeds.
Yeah.
But I do think it'll be quite close. I've gone Leeds by 14.
Yeah. I'm going to go Leeds by 10.
I just think it might be one of those where they'll pull away towards the end.
Yeah, I just think pound for pound, they've just got that little bit of extra quality. And I think that at the end will probably come to the fore. But that said, it's one of those games that if the Giants ended up winning that, I wouldn't say I'd be shocked based on that graphic and what we've just said. If it's the best version of Huddersfield that go up against Leeds have got a handful on. They should come through it, but they've got a real handful on. It's going to be very, very fascinating to see how that one pans out. Wonderful stuff. Right, we then go over to France. Toulouse Olympic taking on what can only be described now as a Hull KR that are in full flow. Would you agree with that, Carla?
Yeah, they're starting to hit the heights of last season, haven't they? They've got over the little stumbling block that was Vegas, and they're firmly back on the horse now. They're off.
They're off.
The mark.
They're running. Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing about this, look, KR have scored 23 tries in the last 4 games. That's just ouch. Which is we can't underestimate. That said, Ollie Ashall-Botter, of course, was our fullback of the month for March, and just has been, for me, arguably pound for pound, perhaps the best fullback in the league over the first 7 rounds in terms of his consistency. He has set up tries in the last 3 games, 4 in total. So he's their danger man. He's the running man. That said, Joe Burgess is on a 4-game try-scoring spree. He scored 7 in the last 4.
Joe Burgess is having a phenomenal season so far. He's just brilliant. His athleticism is out of this world. Yeah. I don't know how you jump in from that far out. It's insane to me. He struggles to put one foot in front of the other sometimes. I don't know how anybody does that. But yeah, he's doing really well at the minute. Obviously, looking at the squads, Toulouse are quite hit with injury for this one.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'll go through those now while you mention it. For people who don't know Toulouse's squad too well, Paul Macron, he's not there. Benjamin Laguerre, who you saw firsthand at the Leopards Den a few weeks ago, he's a very, very dangerous edge player.
Great finisher.
Great finisher indeed. He's not there. Callum Gahan, the backup hooker, he's not there. Joe Breverton in there. Another player who scored a wonder try when they came to the Leopards was Romeo Trapiche, and that was some effort, that.
Romeo Trapiche. He had his Batman mask on, didn't he, a few weeks ago? He's got a broken nose. He tried with it, failed.
Yeah, he's a miss. No Tyler Dupree as well. He's not in the 21. And Pierre-Jean Lima also missing. So, again, very similar to what we were saying about York and Bradford. These squads have not got as much depth of other people. And when you start to see so many key players missing for these squads, it's where it's going to bite. And of course, they're coming up against the quadruple champions. And again, people will start arguing now with the screen, but they didn't win it in the calendar year. It doesn't matter. They've still got 4 trophies, to say every week. They're coming up against an absolute force in Hull KR. I mean, look, this is them two side by side, and tries scored 27 to 23, tackle busts. Which is interesting, actually. More tackle busts from, even when you pro-rata it for the game that KR haven't made. Toulouse have tackle bust more than KR. Clean breaks as well. They can strike from deep, can Toulouse Olympique. Both have had 54 offloads this season. Missed tackles, the 6th least for Hull KR. But like I say, that'd be worse if you pro-rated it. 7th. They would actually go probably 7th for on the list. This is in terms of best. For Toulouse. Penalties, that's wrong for Toulouse. That's what rushing before a show does to you. But the 12th will be right. It's very, very close. I think it's 39 off the top of my head in terms of penalties. And in terms of cards, 2 yellow cards for KR this season. So none yet for Toulouse Olympique. But the bottom line is here, Carla, for the interests of time, I cannot see Toulouse Olympique stopping KR.
No, they'll be much too strong, I think. Looking at that Toulouse squad, they've got a lot of key players out. They're not just fringe players; they're key players for Toulouse. And like you say, KR are on a high right now. They're really, really enjoying the rugby and they're back in full flow. I can't see how Toulouse would get a win. I just
Give me
can't.
the number. What number are you putting on it?
Maybe by 30.
I've gone 26. So we're not a million miles out again. We're both in and around that number. Very, very interesting. Right, we're not 1 game to go. We're nearly there. We've got probably about 5 to 10 minutes to go here, folks. And then, of course, that will probably get you enough time to get yourselves a coffee or a cup of tea before the game. Well, not the game, but that important interview starts on Sky Sports at 7:30 p.m. We go to tonight's game. And, of course, we've all spoken about being disappointed for that man on screen there, John Cartwright, and the way he has been cast aside at Hull FC. Surprisingly for many, it would appear he is going to be in the dugout. A lot of people expected John Cartwright not to be there this weekend, based on his pre-match press conference. That does not appear to be the case. It does appear that he will be in the dugout this evening, which is very, very interesting indeed. Right, let's go into the squads whilst we have a chat about this. The big news for St Helens is that man there who is in picture. Matty Lee's back in the 21-man squad.
He is. He's been out for 3 months, 12 weeks. He did his knee, didn't he, in the early Challenge Cup rounds. Obviously, captain's armband for him this year, so it would be nice for him to actually get the chosen captain on the field. Definitely be a big boost for them.
He will. I mean, look, we always highlight it. This is what he brings. I mean, this is what he brings. He averages 35 tackles a game with an efficiency of 92, and that, he's very much that type of front rower. He does go through a lot of work defensively. He tries to, win that first 20-25 minute battle, which then allows Saints to then springboard from there. That's the type of prop forward he is. 34 tackle busts over the course of the season. Only one break. Penalties, and this is quite surprising. We spoke about, big minutes. Robbie Mulhern against Warrington. Alex Worms is often, given a little bit of criticism for the amount of errors he makes, etc. These are good stats. When you consider he averages 8 penalties a season and 11 errors a season playing front row, Carla, that's some going, isn't it?
It is, yeah. He's a really stand-up guy, and I think sometimes he goes a little bit under the radar because he's not a flashy player, and he's another one of those who just works really hard, and he does make some errors, but they're not usually in crucial areas of the field, from what I've noticed. No. He averages 12 carries a game, 75 metres at an average metre gain of 6.33. Going back to the squads, it's a big boat. It's a big boost this for Saints to have Matty Lee's back, and they do look in decent fettle. Robertson probably will continue to deputy. I'm saying that they've been playing Sailor there, haven't they, as well, at fullback. George Whitby's now in, so it's probably going to be Sailor at fullback. I mean, Tristan Sailor, you talk about players going under radars, and he had a lot of criticism last year. I thought he had a really good, solid first season for Saints in adversity last year, and he seems to be coming back good again. I think he's a real secret weapon for him. It's a big headache. I think you might have been talking about this on Tackle Talk when Wellesby comes back. Yeah, we did. Yeah, I did. I brought it up because I don't see where Wellesby fits in right now with the way that Sailor's playing. I do prefer him at full-back to in the halves. I think he's much better there. Is his natural position, and then I think he's enjoying playing there. He has a nice little link up with Lewis Murphy, but that's a shame because he's not there this week. But yeah, I think he's going well there. I enjoy watching him, and I do struggle to see where Wellesby fits back in immediately. I think he'll have to work hard to get back in there.
Yeah, absolutely, and he should be made to work hard to get back in there as well, because you shouldn't change a winning team, or certainly take good form players out of a position that they're playing well in.
Not broke, don't fix it.
Absolutely. I mean, look, this for me is a fascinating fixture this evening, in the fact that you never know what you're going to get here in terms of FC. We saw the Luke Robinson effect at Wigan for Huddersfield. Even though Cartwright is still in the dugout, we know the players have took this hard. That's the word coming out of the club, that the players have took this hard. So there's no doubt for me, this is a dangerous proposition for St Helens, in the fact that they're going to come up tonight against a Hull FC side that are going to want to do this for John Cartwright.
Yeah, it's one of those where, like you say, you could see it pan out either way. You could see players who are demotivated, demoralised. Obviously they are upset. No one's really happy about it in the FC camp by all accounts. So you can either see them play really flat, or they come out and think, right, no, we'll do this for you. We'll put a good show on. We don't think it's right that you go in. We play for you, and we'll show them that we play for you. Mm-hmm. And hopefully it's that one that turns out.
Well, it'll make for a good game. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I mean, when you look at the two squads, even though Saints continue to have absentees, and they do. When you look at those two squads, I mean, don't get me wrong, so too, let's be fair, FC, no Price, no Barron, no Arter, no SASA, Batchelor's not there, Cartwright, Asiata, Romano, who's been playing really well. Obviously, they've got Harry Newman in for that. But there is still no Wellesby, Percival, Sivan, Wright, Host, Wingfield, Parser, Murphy, Burns or McDonald for Saints. So both of them, in that respect, a million miles away from the starting 17s that they would have hoped to have put on the field.
Yeah.
So that's going to make this really interesting. Looking at the two squads, you'd still give it advantage Saints for me in terms of the personnel they've got available to them. But it's going to be, I think this could be fascinating. You see it all the time. And if Hull can harness that upset, that disappointment in the right way, Saints have got a real handful. A couple of key battles before I get your prediction. This is a key one. Kyle Felt taking on Lewis Martin. We have to, the caveat here, Felt has played less games. But this is a big, I always think Lewis Martin, it's a big test to come up against the seasoned pro. He's still only a young lad, he's Lewis Martin. We know what Kyle Felt's strengths are. Felt 5 tries to 4 up in that battle. Breaks 7-4 in Martins. No doubt about it. If Lewis Martin gets on the outside of Felt, he's gone. I don't think Felt can't cope with Martin's pace, but the aerial threat of Felt on that edge in attack, I think, again, I don't know if Lewis Martin can compete with that. So it's a real fascinating battle in terms of the air and, in the air and on the ground between these two. The tackle ball, some unbelievable difference, 41-16. Tackles 24 to 41 as well in Felt's favour. Carries, though, look at the difference, 104-46 in Murphy's favour. Murphy's done over double the amount of metres as Felt with 694. Lewis Martin, for me, was unlucky not to be in the England squad last year. This, for me, is one of those little battles tonight where if he can come out on top of a player like Carl Felt, it's a little tick in that box for the World Cup, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We really should be taking our best players there, and there's no doubt, based on his form last year, he was really unlucky to miss out. He's not yet hit those straps this year, but obviously he's playing in a really disrupted side at the minute. I think his carries there, 104 carries, they rely on him a lot to bring it out of backfield. I think obviously with Will Price not being at full back, it's falling to the wings to try and get it upfield for them. That's why his carries a big discrepancy in carries, I think.
Yeah.
I think his pace is phenomenal, but we have seen him caught by players that you wouldn't expect him to be caught by. I was unsure when we played against him at Lee in the Cup. I was unsure if he was maybe nursing a little bit of an injury, because I wouldn't have expected him to be caught by the players that would catch him. But if he's on form, Blinken, you've missed him.
Yeah, and of course, I remember that performance that he put in as well as the Hull FC team last year in the Challenge Cup at Wigan. He was front and centre on that day. Yeah. He's very, very dangerous on the outside. But I think for me, the real key battle is this one. The one, I mean, Aidan Caesar's got to raise his game for this one. He really, really does. That's my view. He's played 2 games less than Jackson Hastings, 7-5. But look at the assists. Hastings 8, Caesar 1. In terms of attacking kicks, again, 47-21 Hastings. Kicks in general play, 89-49. And this is what I mean about he's got to raise his game. He's got to manage the team better. He's got to be more precise with his kicks, Aidan Caesar. He's got to keep them in good territory and Saints on the back foot, kicking into corners, making it hard, good line speed, and it's all going to come off the back of Aidan Caesar. He has to have a phenomenal game tonight for me if FC are going to do it for John and get the win. Tackles similar, 63-51 in Hastings' favour. Carries 111-47. Jackson Hastings, of course, though, is a running halfback. Made 562 metres, only 164 for Caesar. They've got to try and keep Hastings under control. And the best way to do that is to, like I say, for Caesar to manage the game effectively, to put Saints on the back foot, keep them in their own 10, because in their own 10, I know that it's rolly ball and it likes to be expansive, but Jackson Hastings is less likely to be a threat within his own 30 metres as opposed to FC's 30 metres. And the best way to do that is Aidan Caesar to have the kicking game of his life, to give them the platform to build and maybe get the upset.
I think for me, I think Caesar plays better when John Asiata's on the field.
Yeah.
I think he struggles to play without him. To be honest. So I expect it will be a little bit of a struggle. I'm assuming we might have Herdacre in the halves at the side of him looking at the squad.
Yeah, well, of course they've got Newman, haven't they? So Newman can now
Yeah.
slide into centre, can't he? So
Yes,
Moy's there. So Moy at full back. Probably it's going to be Litton and Newman on the wings, Briscoe and Murphy.
Yeah,
Martin, sorry.
So I would assume that Zach's playing in the halves then at the side of Aiden. So yeah, I think they do miss, obviously, John, and Caesar plays much better when Asiata is playing. I don't think he has enough space to kick when John isn't playing. John opens up that space for him. So it'd be interesting. Have we got Bell? Is Bell in there? So are we expecting Bell at 13?
Yeah, Bell.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, Belly can play 13, but Aiden's been put in there quite a lot. Of course, Brad Fash, before John Cartwright's time, it was Brad Fash that played 13.
Yeah.
We've noticed this year that when Asiata wasn't playing, it's Yusuf Aiden that's been put in there. So that, and of course, he's not got the ball skills that John's got. So that's where I sort of see that, from being honest, maybe. But I agree with you. I think James Bell is a better ball player. And for me, I agree with you. Looking at that, I'd be more inclined, if it was my team, to put Belly at 13, because I think he could do a lot of damage.
Yeah, that would be where I would be going with that, and see if he can give Caesar that space to kick and keep Saints on the back foot. That would be my option.
Right, come on then. Which one are you backing?
I'm going to go Saints by probably a decent margin.
Ooh, you're going big. Go on.
Yeah, I think by, well, not massive, but definitely by a decent margin. I'll go by 16.
I've got half that. I've got 8. I've got the Saints by 8. I just think, I think they're going to run through brick walls tonight. Now, if they can't manage the emotion, you could be right. It could be worse. This is all about FC being able to channel all of that respect and support for John Cartwright in the right way. And if they do that, Saints will have a job on. But I do think Saints have got...
I just fear for the morale if they start to get rolled. I think they'll struggle with it, just based on the disruption that they've got at the minute. And obviously potentially being a little bit downtrodden and a bit downhearted over the situation. If they do start to get rolled and they can't get out their own half, I think if heads drop, it'll be a pasting. Well,
you might be right. You might be right. Do you know what? I've absolutely loved that. That has been a real pleasure to have you on the Captain's Run, your debut. And for somebody who was so nervous beforehand, I thought you'd done an exceptional job, Carla. So well done to you. Would you come and do it again?
Yeah, I'd do it again.
Fantastic. So make sure you catch Carla every Monday morning as part of the Super League Raw Ladies Tackle Talk. Remember, if you're at the York game tomorrow, she will be there with the other ladies. Do give them a wave in the East Stand. Go and have a chat with them, and I'm sure they'll be telling you all the reasons to come and join Super League Raw and be a part of our wider community. We just hope that this round 8 delivers. It's been a phenomenal season thus far. It's surely going to continue to be a phenomenal season. We hope everybody enjoys the Rugby League this weekend. Go safe. Remember, we're one big giant family at the end of the day. And now let's get over to Sky and see what the NRL have got to say about Super League. From me and from Carla, thanks for listening, or thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.